Welcome to our program. To begin, we have a few updates about our brothers and sisters in Eritrea. As you'll recall, in September 2024, the authorities imprisoned 23 brothers and sisters who were peacefully meeting together. We're very pleased to inform you that on December 7th, 2024, Sister Sovereign Gebru, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, was released from prison. We rejoice over this positive development.
This is how the new governing body update starts, with Kenneth Cook, the most cardboard-like member of the governing body, talking about the religious persecution that Jehovah's Witnesses have suffered in Eritrea. And this is nothing but persecution porn. Sure, it is terrible that these people have been arrested exclusively for being Jehovah's Witnesses, but they aren't the only ones suffering persecution there. A 2023 report from the U.S. Department of State pointed out how as many as 1,000 were detained, including 32 Jehovah's Witnesses, for refusing to participate in military service or renounce their faith. They aren't even 1% of the people affected by it, but to the Jehovah's Witnesses, that doesn't matter. What matters is that their members are experiencing persecution, just like Jesus experienced persecution. So screw everyone else. This proves this religion is the right religion. And while Jehovah could help any and all of these Jehovah's Witnesses being persecuted, he kind of has other priorities right now.
As reported on jw.org, on November 6, 2024, the Town of Ramapo Planning Board gave approval for the Ramapo Site Plan. This means that major construction activities may now begin. We're grateful to the Town Board for this approval, but above all, we thank Jehovah.
Yup, we thank Jehovah that he's helping us build this new and completely unnecessary movie studio just so Bethelites don't have to do as long of a commute sometimes. That's where you actually see Jehovah's blessing, according to Jehovah's Witnesses. Not in helping the people who are being persecuted because of his name, but in expanding the real estate portfolio of this cult.
We are greatly enjoying Jehovah's rich blessing on this exciting World Headquarters project.
See, it's so good to see that Jehovah is blessing the construction of this movie studio that the governing body decided was needed. However, Kenneth has a very important thing to remind you of. Lots of Jehovah's Witnesses might be filmed there, but no Jehovah's Witness must enjoy any amount of fame. Unless it's him and his buddies, that is.
While many assignments are in the background, some assignments are more visible to others. For example, various brothers and sisters who appear in photos in our publications or who are used in our videos. In recent years, our organization has produced hundreds of videos, including full-length dramas. Many from around the world have appeared in our videos. In some cases, a brother or sister has been interviewed or has told an experience from their own life. In other cases, they may have portrayed a Bible character or even a modern-day character. It could be that you know someone in your local area who's had this privilege. But here's an important question. How should we view those who appear in our videos?
Why is the governing body like this? They could level with their audience and say, listen, some Jehovah's Witnesses are getting bothered when they are doing their normal activities because everyone insists on asking for selfies when they're attending a convention or trying to preach because their congregations get a whole bunch of visitors just so they can have a chat with them, and you shouldn't do that because that's creepy AF. But they don't say that. They simply say how some Jehovah's Witnesses might have been on camera and how they might be getting some attention and how if that were to happen, then it shouldn't be happening. Why can't they just say things clearly?
Those who appear in theocratic videos are dedicated, humble servants of Jehovah. They don't seek fame or glory for themselves. Quite the opposite. They want the glory to go to Jehovah. Thankfully, The majority of our brotherhood maintains this proper perspective. Nevertheless, there's a caution for us as viewers. We must avoid transferring our admiration for the biblical characters to the brothers and sisters who portray them on screen.
In this religion, where you're taught to see every single Jehovah's Witness as your friend, and where you are taught to emulate people who are doing the most for this religion, it will be extremely easy to see an attractive-looking person doing well in the religion and develop a parasocial relationship with them. This was inevitable. Being a Jehovah's Witness is extremely boring, and being a good Jehovah's Witness is all about aesthetics. You need to show that you're a good Jehovah's Witness based almost exclusively on appearances. In fact, appearances are so important that if you don't appear to be immersed in the cult on social media, followers are encouraged to unfriend you.
Are we letting in bad association through social media? Perhaps we can think of another way bad association.
I don't think so. Except for some friends from my old congregation. Wow, they're not doing so well spiritually. But if I stay connected and see what they're doing, maybe I can help them. I'm letting them share empty speeches with me online. I will try to help them while I still can, but following their posts is not the way to do it.
So, what do you get in a religion that encourages people to get into parasocial relationships, frowns at a whole bunch of worldly entertainment, and enhances aesthetics over anything else? Well, you get people wanting to take selfies with the Jehovah's Witnesses who are the most internally famous. This reminded me of something I read on Reddit over, 2 years ago. I've been an ex-Jehovah's Witness for way too long. This is a Reddit post, so take it with a grain of salt. It's not like I verified this was true. But look at what Starting to Wake said about Jade and Nita. So I recently had a lovely dinner with a Bethel heavy out of the London Bethel branch, and we were on the topic of videos, as this is what his main focus is. And I wanted to share with you just a few takeaways from our conversation. I'll start with the biggest news. Jade and Nita will likely not be seen any longer on video unless it's something that was already recorded and or previously aired. They have become quite the celebrities wherever they go, and it's been really, really hard on them. I can't remember which one of the two is married, but one of them is about to get married. They show up late to the convention so they can avoid photo ops and relentless questioning. He asked for prayers for them. Spoke to another brother from Bethel, and he mentioned another brother from another video series a few years back, and he said the same thing. It's relentless how these brothers and sisters are bombarded with requests for photos, even asking his wife to get out of the photos so as to not to spoil the op. These videos are definitely having a negative effect on the ones taking the lead. Now, again, this wasn't validated. This is hearsay, but it perfectly aligns with how things played out with the lack of subsequent Jade and Nita content and the nature of this governing body update, huh? And the issue is an issue not that the Jehovah's Witnesses caused individually, but one that the leadership of this religion caused. This religion absolutely loves to regurgitate its own propaganda instead of making more. This is the religion that insisted on having a whole dramatization led by the two most charismatic Jehovah's Witnesses that they could find. And this is the religion that made a whole convention around the Jade and Nita dramatizations. It must be killing the governing body to see that Jehovah's Witnesses are excited for the people in the propaganda and not for the propaganda itself. After all, as a Jehovah's Witness, you are not allowed to admire and praise anyone except Jehovah and the governing body, which is pretty much the same.
How could it affect a video participant if we gave him undue attention, treating him like a celebrity? He could feel embarrassed or self-conscious. This could happen if we ask these ones if we could take a photo with them. It would be even worse if we posted it on social media, perhaps even adding comments.
See, you are not allowed to take selfies with the actors that they use. You are only allowed to give that kind of admiration to the governing body. Notice how this is not about not giving that kind of admiration to the governing body at all, only to actors. in the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because the governing body can be received by a cheering crowd who ask to shake their hand, welcoming them into their city. Maybe even sneak a pic with one of them. They will even dance to that. But you aren't allowed to do even a fraction of that for any other Jehovah's Witness, or any other person for that matter.
Some of our video participants have become overwhelmed by the inordinate attention. Some no longer feel comfortable attending large gatherings of Jehovah's people. It's vital to have the right perspective of those who appear in our videos.
Well, who made them famous to begin with? Who forbids Jehovah's Witnesses from admiring worldly people and encourages them to admire notable Jehovah's Witnesses? Who encourages Jehovah's Witnesses to appear like they're super into Jehovah's Witness stuff on social media? As someone with social anxiety, I can empathize with these Jehovah's Witnesses who were just doing what they were told to do and now have to deal with a whole bunch of strangers who think that they are their friends and insist on giving them too much attention. But the governing body caused this. They could have made dramatizations out around a whole bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses, not just, say, Jade and Nita. And they could just make new dramatizations every time they need them instead of insisting on regurgitating them over and over again, making the characters extremely memorable. They could instruct the Jehovah's Witnesses in dramatizations to lay low, maybe attending virtually to conventions for a year after they appeared in propaganda. This is a problem that will not be resolved by this talk because it only takes one person asking a Jehovah's Witness actor for a selfie in a convention for other people to think, well, if they're doing it, I'm doing it as well, making the problem worse and worse with each person who joins, because then each person who joins is just joining because they see more and more people. But instead of trying to fix the issue, Kenneth is happy causing a problem and blaming it on other people, so much so that this reminds him of a Bible verse that has nothing to do with this.
Can you think of a Bible example of someone who was given inappropriate attention as he carried out his assignment? Perhaps you think of Paul and Barnabas. Acts chapter 14 reports that they became the center of attention after Paul cured a man who had been lame from birth. This was a faith-strengthening miracle intended to move people to praise and glorify Jehovah and His Son. But what happened? Onlookers missed the point. They became enthralled with Paul and Barnabas instead. Acts 14:11 and 12 says, "When the crowds saw what Paul had done, they cried out in the Lycaonian language, 'The gods have become like humans and have come down to us.' And they started calling Barnabas Zeus, but Paul Hermes, since he was taking the lead in speaking."
So we wouldn't want to ask a notable Jehovah's Witness for a selfie because that would be like that one time that Paul performed a miracle and his audience mistook him for a god? Is that a problem among Jehovah's Witnesses, mistaking people they've seen on TV for Roman gods? I swear to Zeus, most Bible examples Jehovah's Witnesses quote are only examples that are somewhat cosmetically related to whatever point they want to make.
The brothers and sisters who appear in our videos are humbly carrying out an assignment from the organization. Like Paul, Barnabas, and Jesus, they want the attention and glory to go to Jehovah. Of course, some brothers and sisters are assigned to portray servants of Jehovah, but others are assigned to portray enemies of Jehovah. Can you imagine how difficult it would be for a faithful brother or sister to portray an enemy of Jehovah? We would not want to make that assignment even more difficult by developing negative feelings toward the individuals who play such roles.
See what I mean when I talk about how ridiculous their examples are? First of all, why would it be difficult for a Jehovah's Witness to portray an enemy of Jehovah? Could it be because being a Jehovah's Witness is all about aesthetics? And second, are you gonna tell me that some Jehovah's Witnesses think villains in dramas are actually evil and don't invite them to gatherings and stuff? This is so infantilizing, but it seems like the solution is right there. If this is true, instead of making this dumb update, they should have just had the actresses from Jade and Nita portray some villains in the next Jehovah's Witness drama. Problem solved.
Please know that we love you all very much. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
No, this isn't, Kenneth. This is a governing body update. Why do they insist on calling anything they film in this studio JW Broadcasting? But there you go. Kenneth and the rest of the governing body are pissed that Jehovah's Witnesses are worshiping other people who aren't them and are blaming individual Jehovah's Witnesses for the problems they themselves caused, just as they always do. But what else is new in this religion? This was a fascinating look into how stupid the leadership of this religion is, causing more problems than they solve with every issue they try to fix. But that's all for now. Don't forget you can support these videos if you like them by becoming a supporter like these guys right here, by buying an iced tea or hoodie in my merch shop, or simply by leaving a like and subscribing for more.